All right, you guys, we are back. It's your boy Q, and up next we have Why Everyone Forgot About Kyle. Shout out to Matty Balls for the video. His music was definitely a lot more positive. He was almost like, I don't want to compare him to like Will Smith, but that was definitely the vibe he was giving. Kind of corny, but like what he did well. He even did like a Netflix movie, which I forget what the title is, but where he played like a kid that was trying to become a rapper or something like that. But yeah, let's jump right into the video. Again, it's entitled Why Everyone Forgot About Kyle.
Kyle, also known as Super Duper Kyle, is a rapper who went viral for his song I Spy featuring...
You know what's crazy? Quick fact. If you guys didn't know, he was actually roommates with DJ Carnage, who later changed his name to Gordo, which is the guy that produced like those 2 house records with Drake. The dude in his own right is a very, very, very established producer. He's dope. Fact that if you guys didn't know, now you know.
Lil Yachty, which racked up nearly 1 billion streams on Spotify alone and has gone 8 times platinum. Following that, he released a couple of other songs that garnered hundreds of millions.
Oh yeah, definitely check out that record he did with Kehlani. That record, Playing With Me, was fire. They have another record they did together, and honestly, like I really, really dug them. It was definitely like a sing-songy record, but Kehlani murdered those 2 features. The other song was
and
hers,
it seemed
though.
like Kyle was super successful, but not too long after his massive success, Kyle seemingly disappeared. People stopped talking about him and his music, and his massive buzz seemed to have vanished. But to understand how Kyle became popular so quickly and then lost that hype even faster, we gotta go back to the beginning. Kyle was born in LA and started making music when he was young, dropping a bunch of mixtapes from 2009 to 2012 under the names Kid Cash and KID, or Kid, or whatever he used to call himself. He used to make your more run-of-the-mill average style of rap, and he said himself it didn't really fit his vibe.
So all I used to rap about was just guns, selling drugs and shit. And then I noticed like I was always writing fire ass bars, but yet
that lisp is crazy though. And sometimes I can sound like I have like a slight lisp, but like, yeah, man, his voice was very different. And honestly, maybe that's why he kind of like fell off. The climate and the sound definitely changed. What people was into definitely changed.
Nobody liked any of my songs. And like my friends and shit were hella straight up with me. So I would play them some shit that worked hella long and then I knew was fire. Then you'd be like, this shit is trash. And I was always wondering like, damn, why? And then I noticed it's like, cause nobody can really relate to it. They can't relate to it because they haven't lived that shit, and they can't relate to it because it doesn't even sound real coming out of my mouth.
Right.
Eventually, he changed his name to Super Duper Kyle, saying,
that's a big fact. That's why you have people like Logic, who as polarizing as he is, does have a very huge hardcore fan base.
the super duper part is because I'm also aware that I can do anything. There is no impossibility. I'm a superhero and I can save my own day as well as others with the power I have from this music and the power of being kind to people. I'm mentioning this for a reason, so keep that in mind. But Kyle shifted his style from your everyday drugs and guns raps to talking about things he actually did in his life, along with shooting to be more positive in his music.
Because I had like Kid Cudi and, you know what I'm saying, and Wiz Khalifa and Drake and people like that to show me that you don't really have to be super hard in order to be a rapper. But I feel like Tyler and Odd Future was one of the first things that showed me like really having a personality and like putting all of your weird shit into your music was okay too.
Like anything, if people can relate to you, dude, they will fall in love with you as a person and they will support anything you do. That's why these type of people with these type of personalities, if they do it right, they could jump onto a podcast. They could jump onto a TV show. Look at Action Bronson. Dude can pretty much sell everything because people really rock with him. So they'll watch him cook. They'll watch him just commentate on freaking Ancient Aliens and riff on it. So it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, if you can relate and people can connect with you, then fam, that's definitely a recipe for success.
You know what I mean? It was with Tyler that did that.
So this was Kyle's mission with his music, to be more positive, to put his personality into his music, and to be very genuine. Also, at some point along the way, he just started going by Kyle. In 2013, he independently released his debut mixtape, Beautiful Loser, which saw some decent success and today has multiple songs with tens of millions of streams. Kyle was getting some buzz, made some connections with artists featured in a G-Eazy music video, and he was coming up. In 2015, he followed up with another mixtape called Smile, which saw way more success. This album peaked at 76 on the Billboard 200, had a feature from Chance the Rapper, and has the song Don't Wanna Fall in Love, which has hundreds of millions of streams. Kyle was finally cracking into the mainstream, and he was smart too, because despite having all of this success, he decided to stay independent, at least for now. It was shortly after this run that I found out about his music, and I was like 14 at the time, and I really liked his songs. When I was 14, songs like King Wavy with G-Eazy were like the coolest thing to me. Also, I gotta shout out Doubt It. That was my favorite song for probably a year. I thought it was so cold, and that single did pretty well too, garnering like tens of millions of streams. But I'm saying this to point out the type of music that he made, which I'll bring up later. Regardless, things were about to take off even more.
It's very clean. It's something like a parent can leave for their kid and not be afraid that like they're gonna become a deviant or put it on a shiesty and rob somebody.
For Kyle. In December of 2016, he released his hit single, I Spy, which went super viral. The song featured Lil Yachty, and I'd honestly be surprised if you guys haven't heard this song. It has nearly 1 billion streams on Spotify, peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, and eventually went 8 times platinum. It even got a remix from Kodak Black, which I don't think I've ever heard, and I don't know if I ever want to. That's not shade at Kodak, by the way. I can't imagine him on that song, and I don't think it would be good. The song I Spy really...
I could see why he would think that, because obviously their style seemed like they would clash so hard. But Kodak has a way of like gelling with any record. Even him keeping like his authenticity and his essence in the feature, he can pretty much rap on a lot of things and definitely make it his own and still make it palatable for the people whose original fan base it's aimed at.
Fit the vibe he was going for with the pop rap, positive, realistic vibe that he was talking about. I mean, the chorus is literally, I spy with my little eye, a girly I can get because she doesn't get too many likes. A curly-headed cutie I can turn into my wife. Very innocent and lovely chorus right there. Regardless, when that song blew up.
But people also have to understand, oh yeah, Atlantic Records, pretty much, man, with the way they changed their whole business model, they kind of went the route of the influencer and really just putting money into people that already had a fan base. And this is why there's such a huge decline in A&R and artist development. Yeah, they just chose these people that already had these fan bases they could sell to because they thought it was easier to teach them how to record a record than to try to get somebody that records records popping socially. But I digress. At the end of the day, the melody is the most important part of a record. That's why even if you listen to some of your favorite artists like write, when they're writing, they're not even writing on paper. They literally go, they hum a melody. And then once they get a melody that sounds really, really fire, they go and they fit the words to it. And that's how Future writes. That's how Kanye like writes his records as well. There's like tons of stuff where he's like humming even early on. And obviously he'll have writers come in and help and all that stuff as well. But a lot of writers write this way because melody is king.
He was able to sign a record deal with Atlantic Records in February of 2017. Later, he was featured on the XXL 2017 freshman class cover alongside X, Ugly God, Made in Tokyo.
That's like, yo, dude, Loki, he had that one record that was pretty hard. And Amine, like, he's dope. He kind of just like is not really mainstream. He did drop that record with K Tronada. And RIP to XXXTentacion and PNB Rock. Kyle looks like such a goofy ass dude next to everybody.
Amine, Playboy Cardi, A Boogie, and more. Kyle was blowing up and he had multiple songs that started coming out featuring people like Made in Tokyo, Ty Dolla $ign, Miguel, and others. In 2018, he released a single, Playing With Me, with Kehlani, and that song did insanely well. Fire. It didn't do as well as his hit song I Spy, but it did garner a few 100 million streams on Spotify, and eventually it went platinum.
You gotta remember, going 8 times platinum is a hard feat to duplicate. So I really think it's unrealistic to think that you're going to do that on your next big record. But like, yeah, man, at this point, the dude still had a lane that he was definitely excelling in.
This song was one of the singles for his debut studio album, Light of Mine, which had features from artists such as 2 Chainz, Khaled, and more. This album also eventually went platinum. Around this time, Billboard described Kyle as one of hip-hop's handful of more happy-go-lucky rappers, and that was a great description of his overall vibe. Kyle was on top of the world.
Like
he even got to be the main character in a movie called The After Party, although it did have terrible reviews, so maybe that hurt his on top of the world feeling a little bit. And after 2018,
that was like one of those movies that could have came out in like the early 2000s. Like if you ever watched those like teen comedies back in the day, like obviously not as rated R as like an American Pie, but in that vein.
Things seemed to slow down a little bit for Kyle. He released the deluxe to Light of Mine, which didn't do super great in 2019. Then in 2020, he released his next album, See You When I'm Famous, with features from artists like Rich the Kid, Rico Nasty, Trippie Redd, Ian Dior, Bryson Tiller, Tyga, and plenty more. And even with all of those features, it didn't do nearly as well as his previous projects. It did place at 124 on the Billboard 200, and I'm not saying it did bad, but his numbers definitely started to climb.
It's not great for somebody that came off such a huge record, though. When you start getting these type of numbers, especially during this time, like now you can get away with selling 20,000 copies of a record and still getting another shot or two. But during this time, if you did that, man, you were lucky to get a follow-up.
declining. And after this album that came out during the COVID lockdown,
Kyle
seemed to start falling out of the public eye. In a Billboard article, they seem to attribute the lack of success on his previous album to the COVID lockdown, and Kyle did too. He said, "I was being so meticulous with trying to make that album perfect, and in my eyes, that is still the best thing I've ever done. But that shit really hurt me, because it totally did not react in the way that I was expecting it to." Billboard also said, like many artists with new projects that year, he felt it didn't reach its potential due to it being released during the pandemic.
Because in the middle of that pandemic, it was like, damn, life really sucked. At least from, I know for everybody, but like from my own personal experience, like I was really, really hating life. I just dropped See You When I'm Famous. It's like in the middle of the pandemic. I can't go tour. I can't go do shit for it.
Right.
Like many other artists who weren't super gigantic with huge fan bases, he really suffered from...
Yo, does Maddie look like Murder Beats? Or like, look up Jack Harlow when Jack Harlow first came up. And dude, they all look like, they look like triplets, bro.
The pandemic, because he wasn't able to tour or promote his album like he normally would have been if there wasn't a pandemic. And like I said, the album hit 124 on the Billboard 200, but it was only up there for a week. He released a few singles throughout 2020 and 2021 and was getting millions of streams per song, but they weren't going super crazy. Kyle said himself he wasn't feeling like himself with the music. He said, "I have not felt like myself now for some time. I felt like I was getting pulled in every direction and I had zero control of what means the most to me, my art. It is important to me that I give you all the best of me." On top of that, one of the main reasons he was seemingly disappearing was because he was also having label issues. He said in his Billboard interview, "I think I lost control over my art due to the expectations and the pressure that surrounded my specific deal. When I Spy happened..."
Of course, you have that type of success, and now they just see you as a pop star. And if you're not going and meeting those expectations now, they're probably like, "Yo, I think we made a bad investment." And like I said, do not underestimate how quickly a label will shelve somebody.
I had this massive record, and there was this expectation surrounding the label that, oh, this is the kind of records that he's going to make, and he's going to do it like a factory again and again and again. And you get in a cycle of attempting that, and I realized my art is no longer being dictated by what I just think is cool.
It's a music business, bro.
I'm chasing some sort of smash.
Yeah.
And especially for me, the smash record they want me to chase is like a diamond song. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
The label issues coupled with the pandemic really
really hard to like
the
expect
momentum he
that type
had
of
from like the
success
past
again.
5 years.
No, like shade to them at all, because my time working with Atlantic was awesome. But I just realized, I'm like, oh, financially, it makes way more sense for me to just do this thing myself, because that's all they're asking me to do anyways. Just be you, and hopefully something pops off. But if it doesn't pop off, we're gonna be like, disappointed. You know what I'm saying?
And they really, like I said earlier, they don't put any work into the A&R side, the development. They literally sign you because you have the hit, and they expect you to recreate this by yourself when it could have just been lightning in a bottle. In years of past, you would have got them like linked up with a team. They'd get your stage presence up. They'd get you media trained. They'd get you with the best writers, the best producers, and they could craft a hit. You know, they're not doing that anymore. And it's only looking like they're doing that less and less. Even though we are seeing, honestly, I think the wave of trying to get the influencer to rap and be successful. I think people are taking way less chances than they were like a few years ago.
So Kyle went independent in 2021 and got back to the music grind. His first order of business was doing something that I don't think did his career any favors, and that's when he released his next album, It's Not So Bad, as an NFT. He tweeted, "It's not so bad, my 5th project, January 28th. Instead of splitting the royalties with the label, I'll be selling this project as an NFT to give it..."
There were so many crypto scams, fam. Everyone was hawking some new like scam of the week, you know? And a lot of these influencers just got money just to hawk them, and they honestly didn't know. They just saw a check, and they've ruined a lot of people's lives. So I'm pretty sure that has something to do with the people just having a bad taste with anything in that sector or industry.
An opportunity for my fans to own this project with me. We're in this together forever and ever. When asked what his fans thought about it, he said, "I think a lot of my fans don't even necessarily know what it is or how to grasp it, but I think there's a little bit of a learning curve, and it's going to be a process for people to really understand it. But I think it's good that it just exists." Although I'm not sure how true that is, because if you look at some of the responses to him promoting it, people were saying things like, "Hell no, f NFTs. Boo." Super disappointed to see this, man. Kyle, why?
We remember those monkey NFTs that people were buying for millions of dollars, and they ended up being basically worthless. Bieber bought one, Logan Paul bought one. Yeah, these things really had no use.
Now, I'm not an NFT guy, but I think what this means when you turn an album into an NFT is when you buy the NFT, supposedly when someone streams like the album, you're going to get a share of the revenue or some of the royalties. However, I have no idea if anyone ever got paid. All I can find are some comments of people asking when they got their shares distributed or asking when they will get any news from the company Opulus that he partnered with. This company also has a pretty bad rating on isthiscoinascam.com, so something shady may have gone down. Although
he's suffering from the same thing that the influencers are suffering and the YouTubers when they go and they like show these products, and dude, they could probably be sold a dream just as easy as they're selling a dream to their viewers and the supporters. When the viewers are getting scammed, you're probably getting scammed as well, because these people are probably painting it to you like, oh, this is going to be some profitable endeavor for everyone, unless you're just in on the sham yourself, and then honestly you deserve all the hate and backlash that comes with it. But this is definitely an era where like a lot of these projects were failing because there's no regulation. You have people of everywhere making their own projects, and some of them really are just doing pump and dumps and taking the money and running.
Like I said, I don't really know anything about the NFT world, so I could be wrong. And I also could find like no information on this at all. So I'm not going to say it was a scam, but it was definitely a little fishy. And what I can say for sure is that it was not a good look. And it didn't seem like many fans were into this idea. And on top of all that, the album in general just had really poor reviews. But that wasn't it for Kyle. Kyle had an issue, and it was that him and his music were kind of corny. Or at least that's what people were saying. For example, when discussing his album See You When I'm Famous, the top comment on the Reddit post is, "I'm just surprised you made it this far." And someone responded, "Facts. Also surprised his music isn't total garbage." Now, I used to really like Kyle when I was younger, and while doing the research for this video and watching interviews, he does seem like a super great guy, so this is no shade to Kyle. I respect the positive vibe he tries to push, and I do still like a few of his tracks, but his music seems very appropriate to the time that it came out in. Like a lot of us are probably a little too old to be singing I Spy in 2024, you know what I'm saying? Facts, now that I think about it, some of his bars from that era just weren't the greatest. Like Undoubted when he said, "Fire spitting kid who you kid and I would flame your ass. Call of Duty champion, do you know who you're..."
Super corny. He is a suburb kid, so I get why he was rapping like this, and honestly I get why he did amass his fan base. It was definitely a product of his time.
Aiming at. That verse went crazy when I was 15, don't get me wrong, but not so much anymore. Sunny Baby made a great video on TikTok explaining Kyle's strange spot in the hip-hop/pop rap space, which really sums up what I'm trying to say here.
So I was in Kyle's live yesterday, and a lot of people kept saying that he fell off. And for me personally, I would just have to disagree because I don't really think he was ever really on. Yes, I know Kyle's had Billboard charting hits. He's
one of those people that it happens to a lot of people where the record is bigger than the artist. So people never really get to know the artist. They never get to honestly like be invested in an artist. They don't get any time to do it. The song comes and goes. It happened to designers. Happened to like quite a few amount of people. You can arguably say it happened to Roddy Ricch. Like he did his record, and I feel like the song is bigger than him. So that's definitely a double-edged sword when you have a record this big. You really didn't have too much time to like grow this organically. It just popped off. Even though, yeah, he was dropping music, but like the success really did come so quickly after that.
A platinum recording artist, and he's been in the game for a pretty long time now. If you guys remember, a few years back, him and Yachty had that I Spy record, which was just a massive hit. But like I said, he's been in the game for a while now, and I don't really think I've ever really met anybody that's been part of his fan base. Like, it seems like he's there, but no one really seems to take notice until he just comes out with a really big, massive commercial hit. When speaking to people about Kyle, they kind of get like this token-like vibe, and it kind of just seems that he's very commercially successful, but not culturally. I don't know. I'm not a massive fan of his music, but he's obviously a fantastic artist. I just feel throughout the duration of his career, something's missing. But you tell me, what do you think of Kyle?
The comments on this video also help sum up how people feel about him. Kyle represents this weird space in pop rap where a lot of people consider him corny, when really he's just more pop than rap. And another person called him Walmart Chance the Rapper. Now, if you guys aren't locked in on the whole hit.
And it's crazy because Chance is already viewed as like kind of corny at times. So to be called a corny version of a corny person, or a Walmart version, a second-rate version of somebody else that's corny, it's wild.
Pop space. A lot of people think Chance the Rapper is also pretty corny. So just not a great look. And if we think back to earlier when I was talking about having super duper in his name and talking about being a superhero with the positivity in his music, I think that's a cool thing. There's nothing wrong with saying that. But like in rap, a lot of fans are not going to f with that. And just the fact that he was so positive, like I mentioned earlier, wasn't necessarily the most helpful look. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being positive, but a lot of people, especially nowadays, think that positivity can be a little corny, especially in the rap space.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I think Adam22 summed it up pretty well in his interview with Kyle.
On a pop culture level, it seems like the positive message a lot of times needs to sort of be like spoon-fed to people, along with like, well, look at all this bullshit that I've come out of. Like, you know, like, yeah, I was a crazy ass alcoholic for 10 years and now look at me. And that people are very much able to like appreciate that. But somehow, like, when you are coming into it and you're just positive, it's like it can be harder to get people to sort of like bite into that.
Well, because they don't understand. They don't understand. And
that everybody has their struggles, even if it's not a really.
He does seem like a super nice guy. So it does feel, I bet you it does feel weird for people to hate on. Actually, no, the internet is the internet. They're going to hate on you whether you're a nice guy or not. But like, yeah, dude, I do kind of feel for him.
Really in your face struggle.
Yeah,
like being
even
if
you're keeping it together.
On top of that, he had some TikTok snippets recently that sort of went viral for being not that great.
So I decided to make a Philly Club song today.
Listen, look. Why? I feel so bad, bro. Like, bro is not made to come back.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like,
the comments.
This is fucking trash, Kyle, for real. Kyle, you are way too old to be doing this. Haven't seen bro since Broccoli.
Damn, that was a big hit too with Drama. And Drama's another one that totally fell the fuck off. But that is allegedly to like dealings with Drake. Drake got him jumped because he because the whole Hotline Bling debacle. Drama really felt like he like took his sauce basically, and yeah, when Drake and his people saw him at a party, they got him jumped, and allegedly they got him blacklisted, which makes a lot of sense. But some people say they're blacklisted, and it's just really that they weren't able to like recreate that magic.
Kyle is Lil Dicky for the black community.
Fatality.
I hope that she light skinned. I just heard her say nigga. Yo.
Oh man,
I feel so bad because it's like I feel like it's not that bad.
You guys know how Instagram.
But like I've said it in a lot of videos, you guys have heard me say it many times. As soon as you're uncool, you're uncool. It's really hard to take that stink off of you. And there's not really too many things that are going to help. That happens with like fashion brands, all sorts of things. Once people label you lame, to come back from that is difficult.
Reels comments are, and people were not feeling these snippets. The songs he was previewing had the same type of lyricism as his 2016 tracks, which isn't great when a lot of your fans have grown up and aren't trying to hear that anymore. He also said his label didn't have the best marketing strategies, but it seems like after going independent, he hasn't been able to come up with something better.
My marketing advice from people I was working with was to do this. You know what I'm saying?
The game has changed, bro. I forgot who said it, but somebody said it in an interview. And they were like, I think it was Schoolboy. He was like, basically, rappers are content creators. Bam. And it's like not just rappers. There's so many industries where if you really want to blow up, you blow up by making content. Whatever you want to do. You want to be an attorney. People will go on YouTube and start a podcast about just like random lawyer facts or whatever, weird cases, and become a celebrity, and they go and do numbers in their industry. Look at somebody like Joe Rogan, who probably people weren't putting him up in like the Hall of Fame as far as comics. Does this podcast, becomes one of the most famous people in the world, and now he can do arenas. And I know right now they're kind of looking at him a little crazy because of his last special that he just did. I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it was mid. But it goes to show you the power of building a space, the power of like building this community and people that like honestly rock with you and you rock with them. That's how these people make it.
And it's like, oh wow, you're getting paid for this?
And they're getting paid a lot for that,
right?
You know.
So after COVID hurting the launch of one of his albums, pressures from his label, then releasing an album as an NFT, and going independent, Kyle's career has definitely suffered a couple of blows. And this can be seen in the numbers on his latest album, Smile Again, where most of the songs didn't crack 1 million plays on Spotify.
Even the whole Smile Again is him trying to like bring back some of that magic, because Smile was a big record. So like to see this, yeah, 156K for an indie. It's not bad. And when you're independent, honestly, you don't have to go platinum. You can sell 20,000, 30,000 copies of a record and do really well. Make a huge return on your investment, especially now that most people, dude, you can have a studio in your house. Like it's not that hard, you know? And with YouTube and all these other resources out there, you can figure out how to like get your shit moving. It's just, are you going to put in the work? And most people aren't going to put in the work. They just say they want it. They're not going to put in the work though. But yeah, it does seem like he was trying to recapture the magic, and it's not hitting. But the game changes. production has changed, like the way people even like write their records have changed, the length of songs have changed. It's definitely a different climate and a different in a different era in music, and you can grow with the times. There's tons of artists that have evolved throughout the years and have been able to like jump from era to era and still be relevant and still do numbers.
Spotify. And you know how you can Google most mainstream artist albums and see the first week's sales? I couldn't really find them for this one. And honestly, I actually like this album. I mean, I like WAP Dad 4000 a lot, and you can't go wrong with the Tizo touchdown feature. Along with that, I think the production was pretty dope too. But the project did not do too well commercially. However, while many fans think Kyle may have fallen off, it seems like he's had a different approach to the music industry as of late. If you guys have ever heard of the 1,000 True Fans ideology, that seems to be what he's practicing. He's focusing more on his core fan base by live streaming on Twitch, starting a Patreon, and doing other things like this.
What you mean? And so I think the name of the game now is really focusing on your micro fan base, right? Your fan base
super
is this.
serving them, yeah.
Your fan base is this. My fan base is this. Like, I'm a very famous person. Like when I walk,
your monthly listeners are fucking huge on Spotify.
When I walk down the street, like,
of course, a lot of it due to back catalog, but yeah, there's definitely people that would recognize him. It's just that, like you said, like, dude, with Twitch and with live streaming and YouTube, you're not at like the mercy of a label. I've been signed for like 4 years. I have 2 years left on my deal as a producer to a publisher. And dude, when everything you do is in the hands of somebody else, like, all right, you send this beat out, and I've been lucky to work with some awesome fucking people, some dope people. And when you send this stuff, you're literally at their mercy. Like, all right, it's going to take you 9 months to get paid, you know? And that's, luckily I'm a producer and we get fees, but I can't imagine being like a songwriter or anything else like that, because there's no upfront fees for them. They get paid whenever those royalties come in. And sometimes if things might not be filed right, they might not see money, and they may have to sue in like a year or two. So yeah, it's definitely tough. With like doing something like this, what I'm doing now, we kind of take more control of our career, and it's dope that I get to talk about music because it's definitely like my passion. So that always makes anything better when you actually love what you're talking about. But yeah, man, he's smart. You definitely got to dive deep into that and like really get it moving, because yeah, like you said, shit, if you have 1,000 people, you could be honestly living pretty well, pretty well.
People are going to recognize me type shit.
Visually, you're also very unique. People are like, oh, it's the guy with the gray hair. And I saw him on Netflix.
That's what I'm talking about. Yo. So it's here. And then, but I can't focus on this in today's world, right? I have to focus on this smaller amount of people that are really into everything I do. I need
engaged.
I need to super serve them.
They're buying merch. They're
buying everything. They're keeping things afloat. I need to super serve them. And as I'm super served,
like the point I was trying to bring up earlier, you can literally, if he were to do a show where he cooked munchies, you know what I mean? Where he was blazed out his mind just cooking munchies, I bet you a bunch of people would tune in for that. And just that early engagement will be enough to get it in the algorithm and really get it pushed out to a bunch of other people. If the content is good, then it's going to do really well. But like, damn, man, that's really what it's all about. When people rock with you, they rock with whatever you do. Like, dude, I have plans. I used to have a radio show back in college, and it's so like podcasting is something that I kind of want to get back into. I kind of want to start doing like a gaming channel. Fuck it. You know what I mean? There's like so many other avenues that like, dude, we're multifaceted people, and it's pretty dope when like people really rock with you and will support pretty much anything you're doing.
Serving them, something will raise its hand and then appeal.
There's a reason why T Grizzly
that's how you do it.
Chilling.
And this is really smart, because as an independent artist, this is where the money is at. On top of that, being independent for his early career has to have made him so much money. I'm sure Kyle's set for life. Kyle hasn't necessarily disappeared, but he's definitely taken a backseat to mainstream hip-hop and decided to focus on his core audience and making the music that he wants to make. So if you were wondering what happened to Kyle, or where he went, or why he disappeared, or how he fell off, this is what happened. Everything you just saw. I couldn't think of an outro for this one, so I'm just gonna have to say peace out. Catch you guys later.
Yeah, man. Obviously, times changed. His fans grew up, and yeah, he signed with Atlantic. Atlantic has been known to like just sign a shit ton of people, a bunch of influencers, throw some money, whoever sticks. They probably saw him with his success of I Spy and was like, yo, this dude is gonna be the next freaking Will, you know? Like, it seems like he tried to go that route. He did the movie thing. It just wasn't that great. Like I said, it was like, it's mid. And now if it's mid, it's bad, which is not good. But yeah, I feel like, no, the dude definitely is talented. It's just people like dude, they wasn't really relating to him, and they did see him as lame. And like I said earlier, once you're uncool, you're uncool. You can't really do anything about that. The fact that he still has his like core fan base, obviously, dude, each of those songs has 150,000 streams. He's got to have a few thousand fans that really rock with him and really fuck with him, you know? He's chilling. Those big records, if he did it, they had tons of streams all across all the platforms. And if he was smart, because honestly, I don't see him as the type of guy to be buying chains and all this stuff. Anytime you really see him, I know now it's kind of more rare. You see a random interview like the bootleg Kev one, but you really don't see him too much. But dude, he could be making a killing on Twitch and like YouTube Live, and we just don't know about it. There's tons of these people around the world. But definitely let me know what you guys think. Did you guys ever fuck with Kyle? Do you guys remember I Spy? And yeah, let me know if you heard the Kodak version. Well, like I said, I rock with some of those records. I'm not gonna lie. And like, it is dope to see that he's still like a pretty well-adjusted dude. And dude, he's like, to me, it's a success. If you're able to make a living and survive and do well for yourself off of your creative talents and these creative endeavors, whether it's on a huge scale or just like a micro scale, dude, that's something to really, really be proud of. That's something to really like, dude, cherish. Like, it's freaking dope. You literally do what you love for a living. And on top of that, you get to have dialogue with people that really love you. It's freaking dope. Yeah, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button, guys. It does the channel wonders. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are freaking awesome. And yeah, hope you guys loved the video. Oh, and guys, we hit 2K. We actually blew past 2K the last like day, which is freaking awesome. It's all because of you guys. Thank you guys so much. Like, yeah, man, you guys are freaking awesome. But yeah, I hope you guys loved the video, and I hope to see you guys soon. Yeah, bro. And look up early Jack Harlow or Murder Beats, bro. That's him.